So I heard you want to beat SKINWALKERS Faction 21. Let's do it. Yo, welcome back to another episode of Raid Shadow Legends. So I've been receiving some feedback that I should be tackling some of the Faction Crypt's content for the newer players or progressing players that would want to get Lydia as soon as possible, but they don't have a stacked roster. So let's see what we can do. Today we're gonna cover SKINWALKERS faction. Before that, let's quickly go through the SKINWALKERS index. Okay, basically let's start from the rares. Hopefully you would have some of these champs ready. The first one that I would recommend you to use would be this guy, Mr. Fleshmonger. The reason why you would build this champion if your roster is not stacked enough, or you're just early game or mid game maybe, is because you will use this guy in one of the secret rooms in Doom Tower Heart. So this is not a waste of investment of your resources. So let's see what this guy can do. So this guy, A1 is whatever, right? So he will put a attack up buff and increase crit rate on himself, and then grants him an extra turn, which you will follow up into his A3 that will hit everybody with an AoE, and then also land a decreased defense by chance. Okay, so he hits pretty hard. I have play tested him. In fact, I have hit one of these big boys built, so I will showcase him later. Another champion that you can use is Greybeard. You basically will not be using him for the damage part, but for the A2. Okay, if you absolutely don't have a lot of options. So because this A2 will land a freeze, so it's a form of CC to allow you to buy some time for you to react to the waves. Okay, so he has a very good shield and counter attack buff on himself. Okay. The next guy in the rare is Nowhorn, similar to what's his name again, Fleshmonger. If you invest in building this champion, you can use him in one of the secret rooms in Doom Tower Heart. Okay, namely the rare spirit champions, I think. So what does this guy do? He'll provoke everybody, okay, and he'll increase his own defense, and also he will place an unkillable buff on himself, which is a very good CC champion. And he's a hit point based champion, so you can expect him to have a good HP pool to survive. So Channeler if you absolutely lack support, but I would not recommend you because you will not be using him anywhere else. Okay, so yep, these are the absolute useful rares that you can use to dominate the faction wars. Now let's move on to epics. Epics, okay, they recently buffed actually the legendaries in this faction, which we will go into later. But if you have these epics, you can bring them into the faction wars. Number 1, Basher. Basher, usually you can use him in arena, but for faction wars, this is his money shot. Increases the cooldown of all the target skill by 2 turns, and booked to a 3-turn cooldown, which is very useful against the waves. And the block buffs, although it's a random hit, but if you go against the boss, it will block the buff first before it cleanses. So quite a useful skill if you time it correctly. And he has a weaken on his A1. Very, very solid. The next guy, Fane. Fane, I think, is a very free champion. Probably from one of the promo codes. Hopefully you have her. I did not have her built, but I will use her later. She is a very, very good DPS in fact, and one of the best in clan boss. So what does she do? A1 will steal the thermometer. Normally this will not be useful in clan boss, but this will be useful against faction war boss. So the next A2 puts a poison and a decreased attack. Decreased attack is really, really useful if you struggle with the defensive stats to survive. Okay, so this is her money shot in fact. So it will do 3 hits to a target. So basically it will land decreased defense, weaken, and the 3rd hit will heal this champion. Very, very solid. So if you are super free to play, this is the reviver that you can get. In fact, before Mighty Uko was released, this is probably the only reviver in the entire faction. So what does he do? The stun is on an A1 is relatively low chance. We don't really rely on that. He puts up increased attack and increased crit rate buff for everybody. Okay, and then the revive will be random. 2 allies. After the revival, it puts a strengthen. Okay. Also, it will fill their thermometer by 50%, which is very important for them to get back to their speed. So this might be the crucial part for you to 3-star Faction Wars stage 21. Okay, because you might just need the revive. Okay, some of the epics that we have covered. Steel Skull, you can use him if you lack the healing, because he has a very, very good heal, although it's only 1 target. And also an AoE heal, of course. When I was doing this Faction Wars 21 back then, these are the 2 guys that enable me to 3-star Faction Wars 21. Okay. The next guy is actually Scarbius. Actually, he is really underrated as an epic because he is quite strong. He has a very strong kit in fact. The A1 will place poison. Okay. So the A2 will hit everybody and lands a leech, which is very helpful if you need survivability. The 3rd one is, this is very useful particularly against a boss because it hits 1 enemy, right? And then it will place a weaken. It will self buff himself with increased attack, which is very, very powerful. So if you're using this guy with someone like a Fae that puts up poison, then this guy's damage will increase by a lot with his passive. Okay, he can also combo this guy with a Taurus, but Taurus doesn't bring anything else useful besides this money shot, which is the 4 poison debuffs. Okay, just to take note, if you don't have Fae, you might opt to combo Taurus and Scarbius. So let's move on to the legendary champions. Okay, I'm gonna recommend, okay, Norok, obviously, if you have him. He is very, very solid for Faction Wars because of the passive. This will make your entire team very, very tanky. And then these block buffs you have to time if you are going against the last boss. because the last boss might just transfer this back to your team. So it can be a double-edged sword. The A1 we don't really care because you will not lock the boss skill. Okay, the next two champions that you can bring in, which are free to play. Number 1, Mr. Nishak Vermin Lord. He is the recent fusion. Hopefully you have went for him. So I think everyone is already familiar with what he does. Okay, if you build him well enough, he can solo almost every dungeon content, sorry. Besides Spider and Fire Knight and Sand Devil, obviously. Okay, so what does he do? The A1 will place bombs at random, and it's not 100%, but it's still very good. So the A2 is 100% chance to land the bombs. Sorry, not the A2, A3. A3 is 100% chance to land the bombs. Okay, so it's basically mentioned that the bombs that placed by this champion, either it's A3 or A1, will deal double damage to the boss. Okay, so the A2 is actually to complement the bombs by decreasing the detonation count by 1. So, and then also it lands a decreased attack. So when the boss take a turn, he'll be taking the bomb damage and he cannot transfer it back to you. And after the bombs will detonate, this passive will make the boss take a lot of poison debuffs that cannot be removed or transferred. So this is very good to killing the boss really fast. Okay, he has a very good aura as well that you can use. So the next guy, he is also a fusion in year 2022, Mr. Mighty Uko. So we will mainly use him for the support skills that he brings, the decreased attack, to keep the decreased attack uptime on the boss so he's not doing a lot of damage. And then block buff will not be okay, block buff will be useful, but you have to time, and decreased attack will not be useful for the boss. So he has a AoE revive. This is our backup plan. Also, when he's idle doing nothing much, he can just increase speed on everybody. Okay, this we will not be using this a lot. This is mainly for arena. Okay, that being said, let's get into the comp that I'm gonna showcase today. Alright. Okay, so as you can see here, basically my Nishak would just solo this entire boss by himself, but we're putting all the main characters, or even put in a Fae for a cameo, because we want to hit this thing 5 champions with no losses. So we need to 3-star it essentially. Okay, so let's see what this team can do. I'm putting in level 50 Fae, which I will showcase the gear later on. So my Nishak is quite fast. You can invest your best gear on Nishak. He is a very good nuker when he's not doing the bombs, which is never. Decreased attack right there. Okay, so we have Scarbius. You can use either. So we got this Flashmonger going. You'll see. Look at that. He's actually in Savage set. Uko is whatever, just using his A1. Okay, so you'll get through the waves really easily. Nothing much need to be said about this guy. So if you have Nishak, he'll just carry the entire team. Okay, so see, I'm not even using Uko's skill. He's just there for a cameo. Okay, Faye, whatever. We don't care. We want to kill the Paragon fast because he is just going to slow us down if he puts up that unkillable, annoying buff. Okay, so okay, everyone's taking damage. So let's see. Let's get through the waves. I'm barely using his skill. Later I will show you my face gear. You'll be absolutely stoked. We want to save up all the skills, so we're just gonna A1 here. We want to save up all the skills, all our money shot for the boss. So this is a well-known trick already. A lot of people who are struggling with the skills, with stats and gears, will just use this trick. Okay, if you're not fast enough in particular. So at the boss, normally you need to understand he will start with this skill. Okay, so if you have buffs, he'll just steal it, and then if you apply the buffs on him at your first turn, he'll just transfer them to you, which is very, very oppressive. Okay, and he also have a backup skill which will exchange his low hit point with one of your team members, so that he'll gain like a lot of hit points. So this is a very nasty skill, but if you can kill him fast enough, he will never even use that skill. So since we have understand how this boss operates, let's go with Nishak. Nishak will land the bombs, no problem, because if he takes a turn, he will never transfer the bomb back to us. Okay, let's see here. So I'll actually just use the leech, no problem. Even if he transfers the leech back to us, it's fine. Okay, so okay, that's whatever. Uko, look at that. No bombs transfer back to us. Okay, let's continue. I'm not landing anything from Faye because I didn't build Faye. She is just there for a cameo. Okay, I'm not even going to use Uko's skill. So as I said, Nishak will just solo this entire dungeon, entire stage by himself. Okay, our lovely Fane died, which is okay. Just pick her up. Nishak will just kill this boss really, really fast. Believe it. Okay. Nishak is the legit cheat code for this boss. Look at that. I have a feeling that once he takes a turn, he'll just die from the poisons. That's our ultimate goal. We want to extend the poison. Make sure everything is nice and tight. There you go. Death by poison. How sad. Okay, so let's see. Nishak is basically his solo show, and everyone else is there for a cameo in order to get this 3-star. So let's go over the gears and masteries, possible masteries. Let's start with Faye. This is my Faye. I have not updated her gear for a very long time. She is still in lifesteal. Have not booked her. Minimal, very minimal masteries. Next guy. Okay, it's probably in my vault. I should take them out. Flashmonger. Decent lethal gear or savage gear will do. Let's look at the stats. Quite okay attack for the secret room. I built him exactly for the secret room, so quite a decent amount of crit rate. If you have a better damage dealer, obviously you can just use them, right? I'm trying to use the bare minimum quality of a champion to take down these faction wars. So the masteries obviously will go with Helm Smasher and a bit of a support for the debuff that he will place. This decreased defense that he will be placing. Next guy, Mr. Scarbius. Not a top tier savage set, just in the crit rate. Leftover savage gear that is still usable. Not a lot of crit damage. Decent amount of attack. Very fast because I was using him for his leech. I forgot where I was using him, but that's the purpose of using him. So okay, War Master. If you need him to be a nuker, then obviously you will go with Helm Smasher, right? And as usual, some of the support debuffing masteries. Okay, I did have him booked on his A2. Did not care about his A3. So obviously the cameo, Mr. Uko. Okay, relatively high stats. You don't need to have Uko. You can just bring in Hofres the Tusk. As I said, this guy is just there for a cameo. So these are my arena stats. Uko. Let's see if I can show you the Hofres. Okay, this is my Hofres the Tusk. Let me go there. He is in regen gear, an immortal set. Very minimal stats. Decent defense, decent hit point, good enough speed to get the buffs going on and the revive. Okay, no masteries basically. So Nishak, obviously I'm using my Nishak for dungeon soloing, so he will be in full regen gear. You don't need to have this kind of ascension, okay? For faction wars, you just need a good attack, good enough attack, and good enough speed. You don't need to meet all these stats if you are not using him to solo the dungeons. Okay. For masteries, you would go with a support tree, but you don't need to have oppressor, because this is a dungeon solo mastery. Instead, you can go with the offense tree, starting with Blade Disciple, all the way to War Master if required. Okay. So that's it for the Skinwalkers Faction Wars 21. Let me know down in the comments below what kind of content you would like to see from me, and I will do my best based on what I have to create those for you. So that's it for today. I will see you guys on the next one.